The guilt parade began at 8:12 p.m. It started with my mother's tearful voicemail. "How could you talk to your sister like that? She looks up to you." And ended with my sister's Instagram story, where she posed with our dog teary-eyed, #hashtag toxic family. I stared at the screen, equal parts hurt and numb. It wasn't about the $150,000 loan they'd asked me to co-sign that afternoon. It was about the story they were rewriting to get it. And for the first time in my life, I was cast as the villain. Have you ever faced a moment when doing the right thing for yourself felt like a betrayal to everyone else? Tell me and share your story in the comments. Hit the like button and subscribe to see what happens next. My name is Leora Wells. I'm 32 years old. Most of my life, I have been the person my family calls when something goes wrong, the one who handles money, and the one who listens when people are upset. If my mom had to describe me in one word, she would say responsible. If I had to describe my family in one word, it would be expensive. I work as an operations manager for a big international company. I deal with shipments, spreadsheets, and deadlines. My coworkers joke that my blood type is Excel because I love keeping things organized. I like stability. I like things to be predictable. I like knowing what is going to happen and when. That makes me feel safe. Maybe that's why my family treats me like a warranty. They call me whenever something breaks or needs fixing. The last Sunday dinner I went to was supposed to be calm and peaceful. Mom had a roast cooking in the oven. The smell of garlic and rosemary filled the kitchen. Dad sat on the couch, pretending that a muted football game was more important than anything else. My younger sister, Saffron, walked in 20 minutes late. She wore a big cream-colored sweater that probably cost more than my whole outfit. She kissed Mom on the cheek, dropped her fancy bag on the floor, and sighed like she had just walked into a very boring place. "Do we have lemon water or just regular water?" she asked, like she was at a fancy hotel. I was chopping parsley at the counter. "The sink works," I said. She wrinkled her nose the same way she used to when I tried to share my Halloween candy, because hers was already gone. Mom didn't even look up. "Leora, be nice. Your sister had a stressful week," Mom said. Saffron let out a long, dramatic breath. "You have no idea. My boss was so negative. It's hard to be creative at work." I smiled a little quietly. Creative. That's what Mom always said about Saffron. Careful. That's what she said about me. One word shined, the other felt plain. I reached for the cutting board, and Aunt Marigold leaned in from across the table. "So, Leora, still renting that little apartment of yours? You're not getting any younger, sweetheart." "Working on it," I said softly. Mom tapped the oven door with her wooden spoon like it was punctuation. "She's careful," Mom said proudly. "She likes predictable things. She's good with that." Then, laughing softly, she added, "Besides, Leora's comfortable. She's not like Saffron. Saffron is meant for more." Saffron smiled without showing her teeth, resting her chin in her hand like a famous person taking a break. "I'm figuring things out," she said. "It's a journey." I felt that old sting in my chest. The same one I've felt since we were kids. When I scrubbed dishes for allowance, Saffron got surprises for just trying. When I saved money from my part-time job to buy a used laptop, Saffron got a new iPhone for safety. We grew up in the same house, but our lives were like different weather systems. Dad suddenly looked up from the couch. "Leora, grab the check when it comes, okay?" I almost laughed. It wasn't even a question. "I forgot my wallet in the car," I said, half joking. Everyone laughed. Of course they did. It was funny because it was expected. I always pay. Later, in the living room, I told Mom I was thinking about moving temporarily for work. "A project in Dublin," I said carefully. 6 months, maybe a year. She waved her hand, holding a glass of wine like nothing was important. "Oh, honey, that's not realistic. Your sister needs you right now." "What does that mean?" I asked. Mom's smile got smaller. "Don't be defensive. You know how Saffron is. She just needs a little runway." Saffron appeared from the hallway like she was waiting for her cue. She looked at herself on the black TV screen and said softly, "You'll understand when you learn to let go a little." I felt something heavy in my chest. Not anger exactly, but that old weight of being the reliable one. When teachers said, "Work in groups," everyone looked at me because they wanted an A without trying. My family was the adult version of that. I set the knife down. "I brought dessert," I said. "It's in the fridge." From the dining room, Aunt Marigold called, "You're such a sweetheart, Leora. Your parents are lucky to have you." Mom answered without lowering her voice. "Of course we are. That's what family's for." There was a pause, the kind of silence where you're supposed to smile and agree. I nodded anyway. That tiny, obedient nod that keeps everything running. That was the rule. Saffron dreams. I do the dishes. Saffron finds herself. I found my wallet. That night, I drove home with the car windows cracked just enough for the cool air to sting my cheeks. My phone buzzed with a message from Rowan, my boyfriend, who was working abroad. Rowan, how's Sunday dinner with the royals? Me, taxing literally. Rowan, still footing the bill for the kingdom? Me, you could say that. He sent a laughing emoji then. Rowan, you know you don't have to keep doing it. Me, if I stop, the guilt tax doubles. That was his quiet way of saying, I see you. Back home, I dropped my purse by the couch, opened my notes app, and looked at a list I kept hidden in plain sight. Dates, amounts, and short notes. $216 for the family phone plan, $96 for car insurance, $347 vet bill for Saffron's dog, Luna. Some entries had stars. Debts I knew would never come back. At first, the list was practical. Then it became like a diary. Every number was a tiny reminder of how far I'd go to keep peace. Mom always said, family evens out. But it didn't. It just got tidier. The task came with bows now. Could you just put it on your card for now? You're so organized, Leora. You make it easy. Saffron will pay you next month. Next month never came. I thought about the Dublin offer sitting in my inbox. Housing included, promotion, raise. Everything I'd worked for. And yet, when I thought about saying yes, Mom's voice echoed in my head. You're abandoning your family. You think you're better than us. I stared at my ceiling fan, spinning slow, hypnotic circles. Maybe I was tired of spinning, too. Some nights I imagined what it would feel like to live where no one needed me. Then I felt ashamed because good daughters don't dream about escape. Still, that night, before turning off the light, I added one last note under the others. Utilities, parents' house, cancel autopay. I didn't do it yet, but writing it felt like a small rebellion. A whisper to myself. I could if I wanted to. Outside, the city kept moving. My phone buzzed again. Mom sent a photo of Saffron and her boyfriend Orion at dinner. Caption, our future power couple. I looked at the picture. Saffron's hand on Orion's cheek, her nails perfectly polished. She looked free. No guilt, no debts, no spreadsheets. I set my phone down. I didn't envy her life. I envied her permission to live it without owing anyone anything. I fell asleep to the quiet hum of my fridge, thinking about how love, when unbalanced, starts to feel like work. And I realized something that would stay with me for months. I used to think love meant being needed. Now I think it just means being used. If someone made a family tree of financial responsibility, my branch would be made of receipts. By 25, my parents knew my credit card number better than my birthday. They didn't have to ask. They'd just say things like, you've always been so good with bills, or, you're the only one we can trust with this. Those words used to feel like love. Now they felt like handcuffs. When Saffron and I were little, she dreamed of being a singer. She once performed in our living room with a hairbrush microphone while I held the flashlight for her spotlight. I didn't mind then, but the pattern never changed. She kept performing, and I kept holding the light. Through her 20s, she drifted from dream to dream. A travel blog that lasted 6 weeks, a bakery internship that ended because she didn't like early mornings, a wellness coaching certificate she never paid for. Every failure came with an apology sandwich. I'll pay you back soon. I just need a little more time. You're lucky you have a stable job. And I did pay for tuition, deposits, car repairs, emergencies that always seemed to have my name on them. At first, I told myself I could afford it. Then I told myself it kept the peace. Then eventually, I stopped telling myself anything. Last winter, my company offered me something I had quietly dreamed of. A promotion and a move to Dublin. Paid housing, higher salary, a year of travel. When I told Rowan over a video call, he nearly jumped out of his chair. Leora, that's huge. You've wanted this forever. Yeah, I said, smiling faintly. It feels like a door opening. Then why do you look like someone just died? Because they'll say I'm abandoning them. Rowan leaned closer to the screen. His face was serious, like he had something very important to tell me. You're not leaving anyone behind, he said. You're just stopping the bleeding. I wanted to believe him. I really did. But guilt is tricky. It sounds a lot like love when you've been hearing it your whole life. It whispers, if you don't help, you're bad. If you say no, you're cruel. And sometimes that voice is so loud you forget it's not really true. 2 weeks later, I drove to my parents' house for dinner. The smell of rosemary and old furniture hit me as soon as I walked in. Saffron, my sister, was already there. She was sitting on the couch, barefoot, legs crossed, scrolling on her phone. Her new boyfriend, Orion, was next to her. He was one of those people who looked confident even if they didn't say much. You know the type. He smiled easily, like the world was always on his side, and acted like saying good vibes only was a personality trait. Mom adored him instantly. Saffron whispered to me while we were in the kitchen. Isn't he handsome? And he calls me ma'am. Such a gentleman. I looked at his half-finished beer sitting on the counter and said, yeah, polite. Dinner started and Saffron announced, between bites of mashed potatoes, I quit my job today. I froze. You what? She shrugged, acting like it was no big deal. It was toxic. I need to take care of my mental health. Dad nodded approvingly. Good for you. Knowing your limits is important. I nearly choked. The last time I took a day off, Mom told me I was being dramatic. Saffron just smiled. I'm going to take a few months to figure things out. Orion's being super supportive. Orion raised his glass. She's meant for big things. The universe has a plan. Mom practically glowed. See, Claire, that's faith. I didn't say it out loud, but I thought to myself, faith doesn't pay rent. After dinner, Mom pulled me aside. Sweetheart, you've always been so level-headed. You know how hard it is for Saffron right now. Mom, I said carefully. She just quit her job on purpose. She needs to find her passion again. Orion is helping her start something creative. What kind of something? Mom smiled vaguely, like she didn't even know. I didn't answer because I already knew. When I start something, I finish it. When I spend money, I pay it off. When I make a plan, I stick to it. I felt a quiet anger rising inside me. Mom, I already cover half the family's bills, I said carefully. The phone plan, the car insurance, even the vet. Oh, Claire, she interrupted, waving her hand. Those are small things. Small things that add up. Her smile froze for a moment. You've changed lately. I bit back the words I wanted to say. No, I'm finally noticing. Later that night, lying in bed, I opened my notes app. I had been keeping track of all the money I had been spending for my family. The total had quietly passed 5 figures. That's a lot. A whole vacation, a car down payment, a year of therapy. Instead, I was buying my family's comfort, and they spent it like it would never run out. The next morning, Saffron called. Hey sis, she said, all sugary. Orion and I found this really cute place. It's perfect for our new business idea. Business idea? I asked, still half asleep. It's kind of a creative studio or content space. We just need to get approved for the lease, but the landlord is asking for a co-signer. My stomach dropped. Saffron, no, I said. She giggled like I was being silly. Come on, it's not like we're asking for money. Just your name. I rubbed my temples. That's exactly what you're asking for. My name is my credit, Saffron. If something went wrong, it would all fall on me. She went quiet, then sighed dramatically. You don't believe in me. You never have. There it was, the classic guilt trick. Saffron, I've believed in you more times than you've believed in yourself, I said. Wow, she said coldly. You sound just like Mom when she's disappointed in me. The line went dead. My heart was pounding. I could hear my own pulse in my ears. It sounded like a ticking clock, counting down to something I couldn't stop. That night, I told Rowan everything. Every number, every bill, every little manipulation disguised as family love. He listened quietly, then said, Leora, they're not asking for help. They're asking for control. It's not simple, but it is. You've been paying for permission to feel loved. I hated how true that sounded. Days later, the phone rang again. Mom's voice was soft and urgent. Sweetheart, can you come by tomorrow? We want to talk. It's important. About what? I asked. You'll see, she said. I knew that tone. It was the same one she used before asking me for something small. I almost said no, but guilt, the oldest trick in the book, worked one more time. As I hung up, my inbox pinged. Subject, offer confirmation. Dublin. I hovered over the word accept. For a second, I imagined the life waiting there. Gray skies over a canal, my own apartment, my own bills, my own quiet. Then, like clockwork, my phone buzzed again. Can you come early tomorrow? Orion wants to show you the studio plans. I didn't reply. I just stared at the 2 messages. One offering freedom, the other a new leash. That's when I realized something quietly terrifying. Every time I said yes to them, I said no to myself. Tomorrow, I would find out just how far they were willing to go. Mom's kitchen was spotless as usual, but that day it felt fake. Too clean, too still, like everyone had rehearsed their roles. Come in, sweetheart, Mom said sweetly, smoothing her apron even though she hadn't cooked. Saffron sat at the table with Orion, holding a mug of tea she hadn't touched. Dad was at the head of the table, arms crossed. His jaw was tight. It felt like an intervention, but I didn't know the script. Mom slid a white binder across the table. Your sister's been working really hard. She's ready to start her own business, a studio, a creative space. It'll be huge. Orion nodded eagerly. We already found a location downtown. All we need is for the bank to finalize the loan. I stayed silent and flipped open the binder. There were charts, Pinterest photos, and words like synergy, inspiration, and community vibe. And then the number, $150,000. Next to it, in neat blue ink, guarantor required for approval. My stomach sank. You've got to be kidding, I said. Dad leaned forward. It's not a big deal. We just need someone reliable on paper. That's exactly what a guarantor means, I said calmly. If they default, I'm responsible for the entire loan. Mom smiled tightly. Oh, honey, don't be dramatic. Orion laughed. It's just a formality. Leora, we all know you're great with money. It shows confidence to have your name on it. Confidence, I repeated slowly. That's what we're calling it now. Saffron twirled her hair and avoided my eyes. It's not that deep, Claire. It's exactly that deep. $150,000 deep, I said, flipping the binder shut. Mom exhaled and tried her softest tone. Sweetheart, you know we'd do it for you. I laughed quietly. No, you wouldn't. Don't say that. We've always supported you. In what way? Emotionally? Financially? Because if we're talking about support, check my Venmo history. Dad's voice sharpened. Watch your tone, Claire. I'm calm, I said, and I'm saying no. Mom froze like she'd never heard those words before. You can't mean that, she said. I love you, I said evenly. But no, I won't co-sign. Saffron's eyes filled with tears. Wow, she whispered like I'd slapped her. You really don't believe in me. Belief isn't a bank loan, I said. You hoard money like you're scared to live a little, she said bitterly. Orion smirked. Maybe that's why she's single half the year. Excuse me, I said, my voice rising. He raised his hands. Relax. It's a joke. Mom jumped in quickly. Let's not fight. We're family. I pushed the binder back across the table. That's why I'm saying no. Because we're family. If this fails, we won't just lose money. We'll lose each other. Saffron crossed her arms. You make it sound like I'm irresponsible. I met her eyes. You quit your job last week and posted a TikTok about manifesting abundance. Her jaw tightened. You're cruel. I'm honest, I said quietly. That night, the guilt parade began. At 8:12 p.m., Mom called, her voice thick with tears. How could you talk to your sister like that? She looks up to you. Mom, she's 30. She's sensitive. You have to understand her nature. Their nature? I said. To spend other people's money? Mom gasped softly like I'd said something obscene. I didn't raise you to be unkind. I didn't realize setting a boundary was unkind. Click. Then Aunt Marigold left a long voicemail. Family is about giving and receiving. Maybe you can give a little more this season. God will bless you back tenfold. I deleted it halfway through. By midnight, Saffron's Instagram story popped up. Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who hold you back. #ToxicFamily, #financial abuse, #cutting cords. There she was, teary-eyed, holding Luna the dog for extra sympathy. The comments were full of "you got this," and "so proud of you for standing up for yourself." I stared at the screen, equal parts hurt and numb. It wasn't just about money anymore. It was about rewriting the story. And this time I was the villain. Rowan called right as I was putting my phone down. Hey, he said softly. You okay? Define okay, I whispered. You sound done. That's the thing, I said. I think I finally am. There was silence for a while, then his calm voice came. Then do something about it. Not for revenge, for peace. The next morning, I woke up and saw a group text from my family. Mom wrote, family meeting tonight. Dad added, we expect you here at 7. Saffron wrote, don't make this harder than it already is. Aunt Marigold wrote, praying for harmony. I stared at the messages for a long time. My stomach felt heavy, like I had eaten a rock. I could feel the old tension from years of family arguments pressing down on me. Then quietly I typed me. I won't be there. I didn't feel like I needed to explain myself. I didn't owe anyone another reason. Still, my hands shook as I hit send. Years of growing up in this family didn't disappear quickly. The habits, the rules, the way everyone expected me to always fix things, they didn't just vanish. They didn't break neatly. They splintered like glass that had been dropped too many times. Little shards stuck in my hands, and I had to be careful not to cut myself. Within minutes, Mom called again. I didn't pick up. 10 minutes later, she sent another text. If you won't support your sister, don't come to Thanksgiving. I read it twice. I almost laughed. It was supposed to scare me. It was supposed to make me feel guilty. But instead, it felt like relief. A strange, light feeling in my chest. I walked to the window. The sunlight warmed the floor, soft and golden. Outside, a delivery truck drove by. The logo on the side was from my own company. Reliable. Predictable. On time. That used to feel like me, like I had a purpose that everyone depended on. But now, I wasn't sure I wanted to be reliable for anyone but myself. I opened my laptop. The Dublin job offer was still there, waiting like a small gift. I hovered over the accept button. My cursor blinked, steady like a heartbeat. I remembered something my dad used to say when I was a kid, fixing the Wi-Fi or sorting bills. You're the glue of this family. That's what I had always been. The glue holding everyone together, so they wouldn't fall apart. But maybe it was time to stop being glue. Maybe it was time to stop holding everyone together just so they could keep pulling me apart. I clicked accept. That night, my phone buzzed nonstop with missed calls. Dad, Mom, Saffron, they were all calling. I didn't answer. The only message I opened was from Rowan. He wrote, "Proud of you for finally choosing yourself." For the first time in years, I went to sleep without checking my notifications. I felt a strange kind of calm. I didn't know it yet, but the next morning, Saffron would send the text that would change everything. It happened on a Wednesday morning at 8:12 a.m. I was brushing my teeth, hair tied up, still half asleep. My phone buzzed on the bathroom sink. I looked at it and knew immediately it wasn't good. Saffron had written, "I'm quitting my job today. You'll support us while I figure things out." There was no question mark, no maybe, just a statement. Like my money, my paycheck, my effort, all of it belonged to her. I stood there, toothpaste foaming in my mouth, staring at the words. Then, calmly, I typed back, "Me? That's not on me." 4 words. A complete sentence. A sentence that ended a 10-year-long cycle of guilt and responsibility. I rinsed my mouth, looked at my reflection in the mirror. My eyes were tired, but steady. My hands didn't shake. Not even a little. 10 minutes later, another text. "Mom, sign your sister's $150,000 loan, or no Thanksgiving." I actually laughed. Not bitterly. Not angrily. I just laughed because it was so ridiculous. They thought taking away an obligation I already didn't want would punish me. I left the phone on the counter and opened my laptop. The Dublin contract was still waiting for me, unsigned but ready. I scrolled down to the bottom and clicked confirm. Start date, Monday. A soft chime sounded as the email went through. My quiet rebellion felt huge inside me, like a secret that I finally allowed myself to keep. The next 30 minutes were chaotic. First, Dad FaceTimed. Then again. And again. When I finally answered, 3 faces crowded the screen. Mom, Dad, and Saffron were all talking at once. Their voices were loud and sharp, like nails scraping a chalkboard. Mom's voice was sharp. "You will apologize to your sister and fix this." "No," I said simply. Her mouth opened, but I stayed calm. "I'm not co-signing anything. I'm not paying bills. I'm done." Saffron's mascara was running down her cheeks. "You're so selfish. You're punishing me for being different." "I'm not punishing you," I said. "I'm setting a boundary. You never believed in me." She shouted. "I believed in you when I paid your college books, added you to my phone plan, covered your car insurance, paid vet bills, loaned you money for your apartment," I said calmly. "You're keeping score." She screamed. "Yes," I said. "Because I'm the one paying the bills." Dad cut in, voice booming. "Watch your tone." "I am watching my tone," I said quietly. "And it's going to stay calm. But I'm done being your emergency fund, your salary, or your plan." Mom's voice cracked. "If you walk away now, you abandon this family." "I'm leaving for work, not war," I said. "You think you're better than us." Saffron cried. I straightened, finding the cool, precise voice I use at work. The one that gets things done. "This isn't revenge," I said. "It's closure." Silence. For the first time, no one spoke. Then Dad laughed. That short, sharp laugh he always used when he wanted to make someone feel small. "Closure from what? From doing your part? From being your plan? From being the quiet solution?" I asked. They all started shouting again. Blame, guilt, and accusations mixed together, loud and messy, like static on a broken radio. I didn't shout back. I didn't explain. When they finally paused to breathe, I said the one thing I had never dared to say out loud. "I regret not doing this sooner." Then I hung up. I set the phone down like it was a hot pan. My heart was pounding, but I didn't cry. Across the street, my neighbor watered his tomato plants, the red and green tomatoes shining in the sunlight. The world didn't end. I made coffee, sat down, and opened a new spreadsheet. Not for work, but for freedom. Title, Exit Plan. Each row was a rope I was untying. Remove Mom and Saffron from the phone plan. Unlink Saffron from car insurance. Cancel utilities on the house still in my name. Freeze the credit line. Move savings to a new bank. Cancel shared Netflix. Every click felt like cutting invisible threads that had tied me down for years. By evening, my phone was in a war zone. 43 missed calls. 142 messages. Aunt Marigold, sweetheart, talk to your mother. You'll regret this. Pride. Mom, we raised you better than this. Saffron, you've destroyed this family. Orion, my brother, masculinity isn't about running away. I blocked him first. At 8:30 p.m., the group chat lit up again. Mom, family meeting 9 p.m. tonight. Me, I won't be there. Mom, you will. Me, no. Saffron, I hate you. Me, I love you. I just won't finance you. After that, only gray bubbles appeared. Mom sent paragraphs about sacrifice and shame. Dad texted, you'll regret this. Aunt Marigold sent praying hands emojis. I muted the thread, closed my laptop, and sat quietly. Silence felt loud after living my whole life surrounded by noise. At 10:17 p.m., a knock came at my door. I looked through the peephole. Dad. He was still in his work shirt, red-faced, jaw tight. I didn't open. Coward. He yelled through the door. My voice stayed calm. Boundaries. You think words protect you? He spat. No, choices do, I said. There was a long pause. Then heavy footsteps faded down the hall. I leaned against the door, shaking, not from fear, but from adrenaline. I was finally defending my own ground. That night I texted Rowan, me? It's done. I'm leaving Monday. Rowan, are you okay? Me, for the first time? I think so. Rowan, proud of you. Book your flight. I'll meet you at the airport. The next morning, Mom sent her final offer. Sign the loan. Keep your number. Thanksgiving at Aunt Marigold's. Final chance. I typed slowly. No. The only way to stop being the plan is to stop being the plan. Her reply came seconds later. We won't forget this. Me either. Then I put my phone down, packed a suitcase, and watched the first light hit the wall. No fireworks, no breakdown, just quiet, steady clarity. Sunday came faster than I expected. Rowan met me at the airport. You did it, he said. I smiled faintly. Not yet, but I'm getting there. As the plane took off, I looked out the window at the shrinking city below. All the shared bills, arguments, and guilt faded into clouds. Somewhere between takeoff and landing, I realized peace doesn't make noise. It just arrives quietly, like a sunrise you never thought you'd see again. The plane touched down in Dublin under a gray sky. Cold, calm, and huge, like it didn't care who I used to be. By the time I reached my company apartment, rain had started falling in thin, misty sheets. The flat was small but spotless. White walls, a kettle on the stove, a single plant by the window. For the first time in years, every bill, every lease, every key belonged to me alone. No shared accounts, no group chats, no emergency calls beginning with, "You're good with money, right?" Just quiet. I sat down with my suitcase and laughed softly. The kind of laugh that feels strange after holding your breath for months. It was the first laugh I had made just for me. That first week, I felt like I was learning how to live again. Every morning I woke up, I had to remind myself that I didn't have to do everything for everyone else anymore. I walked along the canals, watching the water sparkle under the sunlight. Ducks floated lazily across the ripples, and I felt a tiny part of the world just for me. I bought fresh bread from the corner bakery, the warm smell filling the air. I cooked meals just for me, which felt strange at first. Usually I was busy cooking for others, paying bills for them, and worrying about what everyone else needed. The silence was odd. It made me feel like I should be doing something else, fixing someone's problems, helping them with money, or solving their troubles. But there was no one to fix, no one to help. Just me. On Wednesday, Rowan came over after work. He had takeout in a bag and a bottle of wine. He looked around my small apartment and smiled. You really did it, he said. I think I had to, I said quietly. You look lighter, he said, like he could see my tiredness and also something new shining underneath. We ate on the couch, the TV murmuring softly in the background, but I barely noticed it. At one point, I realized I hadn't checked my phone in hours. Not once. No buzzing, no messages, no one needing me. Just calm. Just peace. It felt strange at first, but also very good. By the end of the week, I opened my old notes app. It was the one where I kept track of every family expense, like a secret history book of my old life. Each line reminded me of the past and all the things I had done for people I loved. $216. Family phone plan. $96. Car insurance. $1,200. Luna's vet bill. Apartment deposit. Every single number reminded me of guilt disguised as love. At the bottom, I typed one final entry. I will not co-sign chaos. I closed the app and didn't open it again. Thanksgiving came early that year, or at least that's what my mom said in her texts. Mom, everyone's at Aunt Marigold's. Your seat's still empty. Saffron, Luna misses her auntie. Dad, it's not too late to fix things. I didn't reply. Instead, I roasted chicken and potatoes in my tiny kitchen. The smell filled the apartment and made it feel warm and safe. Rowan came over, holding a slice of pizza like toast. To my family, he joked. To the chosen family, I corrected. We laughed together, and it didn't feel mean or bitter. It felt honest and calm. Later that night, I sat by the window. The city lights shone quietly, like tiny stars caught in buildings. I looked at my messages again. One new text from Saffron. Saffron, are you happy? My thumbs hovered over the screen for a long time. I didn't feel angry or guilty. I just typed me. I hope you find what you're looking for. I just can't pay for it. She didn't reply, but I didn't need her to. I didn't need anyone else to tell me I was okay. Days turned into weeks. My new job was hard. Long hours, big projects, real responsibility, but it was mine. I liked going to meetings where no one expected me to fix their problems. I just had to do my job, and it felt good. One Friday night, as I was leaving the office, my manager handed me my first solo project report. Excellent work, Claire. Keep this up, and we'll talk about a long-term contract. I nodded politely and smiled. But inside, something strange and wonderful was happening. Pride, maybe. Not the empty kind I used to feel when I tried to please everyone. This was quiet pride. It didn't need anyone to notice. It just existed inside me like a small, warm light. Mom tried calling me twice more. I let it ring. Then one day she left a voicemail. I listened. We're fine, sweetie. Saffron is working part-time now. Your dad said hi and just wanted to check your safety. For the first time, it wasn't manipulative. It wasn't trying to control me. It was just uncertain, like maybe they didn't know what to do either. I didn't call back, but I smiled anyway. It wasn't forgiveness yet. Just space. And space can heal things that time alone can't. Sometimes I thought about the old me. The one who panicked every time her phone buzzed. That I thought being needed meant being loved. She would have bent herself into 1,000 shapes to get approval. But now, when my phone vibrated, it was just Rowan sending a funny picture, a friend asking me to brunch, or my landlord emailing a rent receipt with my name on it. No guilt. No hidden costs. No fine print. Just normal life. One Sunday, I sat by the window with coffee. I watched the rain ripple across the canal. I thought about that last night back home. Mom's final offer, the shouting, the door I didn't open when Dad came by. And then I understood something. Closure isn't a slammed door. Closure is when you stop holding it open. Rowan came up behind me and put his hand on my shoulder. You're quiet. Just thinking about them, I said. And me. Yes, I said for once. He smiled. That was new. I laughed softly. That felt new. That evening, I wrote something in a small notepad by my bed. A promise, not a plan. I won't call neglect help. I won't trade peace for access. I won't apologize for keeping what I earn. I won't be the plan. I'll love it without paying for it. I folded the note and put it in the drawer. For years, I thought I had to earn love by solving everyone's chaos. But peace doesn't need an audience. It just needs space. Space you make when you stop letting guilt sit at the first seat at your table. The next morning, sunlight came through the curtains. My kettle whistled softly in the kitchen. No chaos. No begging. No guilt texts. Just one mug of coffee and quiet that felt like it belonged to me. I thought about Mom's words when she disowned me. You'll regret this. Maybe she was right. I did regret something. I regretted not choosing myself sooner. As I got ready for work, I saw my reflection in the mirror. The same face that used to jump at every notification now looked calm, steady, and unafraid. Survival looked simple once you stopped apologizing for it. I used to confuse being needed with being loved. Now I know love doesn't keep score. Love keeps you safe. As I walked out into the brisk Dublin morning, I realized I wasn't running anymore. I was just free,